It's Monday, friends. That's right. We're here with Pink Pixels. No surprises, because you already knew. That's why you're here. We've got an amazing crew. Look at all these chatters that we have sending up some cute little emotes across the board. I love to see so many people saying hi, so thank you for coming by. We have an amazing discussion planned for this evening, mainly because we have an amazing guest joined with us. So when you have an amazing guest, it guarantees that we're going to have amazing discussion. So you all are very lucky this evening because we have Via Share joining us. And heck, this is going to be a fun time tonight. So I hope you all are sitting in your favorite little cozy gaming chair in your gaming setup. Maybe you even have a game on at the side as you're doing both and multitasking. You've got your water or your energy drink or your tea or coffee all ready for this evening because buckle in. It's going to be time for some conversations. And what we love here is having real conversations, right? Opportunities for us to be very honest about where we are, what we like to see, and also as we get the chance to get to understand who we are through the experiences of others. So if you've got questions or experiences, throw them up in chat. I love hearing the feedback as we build this tapestry of what it means to be a gamer, especially here at the Gamers, where we get to see it through the lens of amazing women who are transforming the space. So I've done enough talking for this. Let's turn it over and hear a wonderful introduction from our guest herself, Via Share. Please come say hello to us.
Yay. Hello. How's it going?
Great.
So today we're going to talk about a lot of Smash. I have a Smash background. I have experience in competitive Smash. Honestly, started with the Melee way back in the day up to Ultimate now. And we're also going to talk about Majesty Gaming, which is an organization I started about a year ago to help women in Smash, women and non-binary players in Smash. So yeah.
Dang. Yeah, you're like, I'm ready for this. I have notes I have prepared. So how long have you been playing Smash? Clearly, like, obviously since Melee, but for you, what is that timeline? Not gaming timeline.
Well, okay, so I say since Melee, but
Yeah.
honestly, competitively, I've only been playing for like 2 years. So I've touched Melee whenever it came, well, not when it came out, like, all right, I'm aging myself by saying that, but like, it's, but back in the day, whenever gaming was like less, I guess, I don't know, like gamers were definitely more male, and a lot of women weren't in the space yet. I gamed secretly, and mostly I would just play Melee, like, in my room by myself, and yeah, I started playing competitively like 2 years ago. I do have some experiences back in high school whenever Brawl was a thing. It was Melee first, then Brawl. So I would secretly go to these Brawl tournaments hosted by like an acquaintance, and they were very positive experiences. And honestly, I think that had I not had positive experiences there, I probably wouldn't have felt as like comfortable going into competitive spaces again a couple years ago, which now is Ultimate, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. So yeah.
Yeah. You've had like a nice evolution then through this. I like that you mentioned though, like you were secretly going to these. Like I'm imagining this very covert where you wear a hat with a very large brim, you know, nondescript
honestly,
clothes.
actually, you kind of called it out. It was one of the awards like for top 8 was they got copies of the Ash Ketchum hat. So I won one time. So every time I would come, I would put the hat on and then I'd put the hood up and I put my pockets in the hood and I'd be like, all right, time to go to the Smash tournament at the Brawl tournament. But yeah, no, it's been awesome though. I mean, Smash has always been a part of my life and just Nintendo in general. And but yeah, it's been a ride, and there's different challenges that we face in competitive Smash, but like, yeah, but
I like that. I like that you gave us like this quick overview. Of course, here you are now. I'm going to tap into Thrill's question here from the very beginning, not to where you are now, but what was your main that you started with?
Oh, they're not gonna like that because it was Zelda. So back in Melee, Zelda was Zelda and Sheik, but I would still just mostly play Zelda, and in Brawl it was Zelda, and then I took a little bit of a hiatus in between. But then when I came back, it was Zelda, and for the Smashers that like know struggle of tiers in fighting games. Zelda is one of the lower tiered characters, so
Yeah.
she's harder to play. But I smile through the suffering. But I love her, and I mean I'm a big Zelda fan too. So like
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah. So there's some heart behind it too. You're like, I feel a connection. This is the choice
absolutely.
I'm making, and I'm gonna own it and be the best. And clearly, Chad's agreeing. Like you can do this. You own it. But I like that you also mentioned like, yeah, you've been playing for a while, but it's different from playing versus going into the competitive space because women in
Yeah,
gaming, right? We had Cupcake on last week where she kind of
yeah,
talked about like the first CS women's team, right?
yep,
And how it still feels like a rather new thing, even though LAN parties have been around for a while, LAN
yeah,
tournaments, women in gaming, especially as competitors that are getting paid and that are
yeah.
recognized. What has that journey been like for you as you've been helping to kind of break down some of those doors, grab those controllers and be like, yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So I think answering this question in multi parts is going to expose some
Yeah.
of the issues in
Hmm.
just not just women in Smash, but competitive Smash in general. I
Yeah.
actually met Cupcake. She was fantastic at the event, and she was telling me about how when she was playing competitively, they had a couple big companies supporting their team, which
Hmm.
is huge, and that's fantastic.
Hmm.
Smash is unique. Because
Yeah.
because um, it just doesn't have the support from the developers, and it doesn't. Well, I mean, we won't get into Panda, but like, I'm not. Yeah, but it's challenging. One being a vet runner in Smash, I'm starting to realize, and being those that are more experienced in event running have been doing this since Melee was a thing or since Brawl was a thing. They have years of experience and connections, and even still, I feel that breaking even in a Smash tournament is challenging. And I think
Mm.
this was something that Cupcake was talking about too, where the challenges of esports in general. But the thing is that people are still showing up, and I feel optimistic about Smash going forward. I think that there's like a life cycle that I've talked to some people about this with Smash, where it's like um, a new game comes out, and then attendance in tournaments goes up way high. And just to remind like those watching, tournaments are in person for the most part. There are online tournaments, but the bigger ones are in person,
Hmm.
and so attendance goes up high and at your locals, and but then it starts to like go down over time. And I mean, Ultimate's been out since 6 years ago, seven
Yeah.
years ago. So we're in a place right now to where the attendance is not as high. The vibes are not as high as they were at peak.
Hmm.
And I think that a new game is going to come out. I think a new Switch is going to come out. And I think that attendance is going to shoot up. And I think it's just the natural life cycle of Smash.
Yeah.
And just like the natural life cycle of like the seasons, it's just the way that it goes. And
Hmm.
that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
I'll still be here. I'll still be playing Smash.
You're
So
like, does not matter this roller coaster.
yeah,
I'm on it and I'm not getting off.
for sure. For real. For real.
So,
It's
so we could
yeah.
describe you as like a die-hard Smash competitor, right? Like it's not a trendy thing for you. It's not when the latest switches is like you are here.
I mean, I wouldn't say die hard, but like no, I love Smash.
Yeah.
It's going to be a part of my life in some way forever.
Hmm.
That sounds crazy. But like but I think that the game has been so important to me growing up. And I mean, even just like when you were gaming or like anybody is gaming growing up, most of the time we're playing the games by ourselves. And actually, I might already be getting myself into like the niche of maybe women in gaming that I
Mm.
saw something the other day of like uh, women playing a lot of solo gaming growing up just
Yeah.
because of the toxicity of online spaces and being in situations where you're the minority.
Mm.
And but yeah, so I've always played it, and I'm always going to play it somehow, I imagine. But yeah, so
Mm. I think that's a
yeah.
healthy approach though, right? Like you love it, it's part of your roots and what you do, but it's not the only thing that you do. Like Smash and being a competitor there has been a launching point for you to say like there's so much more that I can grow within this space.
I hope so. It's there I'm trying or trying to grow with the community as it
Mhm.
changes and evolves, and trying to create a space. Recently, I was just like, when I was taking notes, I was thinking like, oh, when was Majesty founded? I was like, oh my gosh, it's only been a year. I started it up last year, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of room for growth,
Mhm.
which yeah.
We love
So
that though. You're like, here we are.
yeah.
And you're seeing the opportunity to be like, I can do something here. I see the trajectory in which I'm moving and I'm ready to take those steps in that. That's what we need to see. People like to pretend like I'm gonna just start and it's gonna be big right from the beginning and
Yeah.
everything like and they don't realize all of the steps you have to take between step A to step Z. Like how do we go and build this up? And it's so exciting to see how much you've done with Majesty so far. Like it feels like you really are just starting, but you've done so much. And I can already see like some people in chat, like even like that's your sponsor. They're cheering you
Oh,
on.
yeah. So oh, I don't have chat up. I should probably
It's
pull
okay.
it up,
I
but
got you. I got you.
I yeah, I it's interesting though. I just to give like some more context,
Yeah.
before Majesty, I started or like tried to start something
Yeah.
called Safely, and it was
Yeah.
a concept that I had during COVID because there were some allegations that were coming out in the Smash community that were awful and terrible. And I remember thinking like, nobody's like doing anything about this. Nobody's taking these allegations
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, okay, so this is what we're going to implement at tournaments. This is how we're going to protect the players.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking like, that's crazy. Nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So something that I thought of was Safely, which was like the first concept of Majesty, and it wasn't really a tournament or not a tournament. It wasn't really like a sponsorship like esports organization. It was more of like a way to go into tournaments and help people feel comfortable, like help
Mm-hmm.
marginalized genders feel comfortable being at tournaments in a more majority gendered competition.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I thought were like, maybe we could have some people like a volunteer system of like screening with walking people to the parking lot, or like, because
Yes.
even when I would go to tournaments, I would have like the keys and like the thing, and I'd have the pepper spray, and I'm like, all right, time to go to the tournament. Here we go, and walk to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, but because the tournaments are in person, I think there's just a lot of things that, and like everybody is different, but a lot of things that just the TOs don't think about because they don't have that experience. And like, so with women and other marginalized genders that have to think about their safety, even just walking inside the tournament. So what I did was this tournament in it was a major in Austin and called Low Tide City. And I remember I reached out to the TO. I emailed him. I called him like 3 times, 4 times, and I was like, please let me put the stand up.
Yeah.
And so it was a booth, and it was the saddest booth you ever seen. It was like
But you
I
had one, and that's what
I
matters.
I had one. It was a banner. It was like a vinyl banner, and it was like made out of what PCB PCP pipes.
Yeah.
You know the
Yeah.
pipes.
The,
It was made out of those pipes, and I had like Walmart curtains in the back with some like fairy lights. It was diamond in the rough for sure.
yep.
But that was Majesty version number one.
Yes.
That was back in 2021, right? Like as COVID was leaving.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
It's grown since then, but you already had
yeah,
this thought of thinking like, here we are, we're going to these spaces, we know a lot of them are still in person, or at least the ones that you continue to grow, get challenged, have opportunity to really compete in this space, right? And
yeah,
you say like, hey, these spaces tend to create only safety for these types of individuals who already feel
yeah.
safe. I remember, so I'm not in the Smash space, but
Mhm.
I remember even hearing things like because the tournaments run late. Some of them are even held at whatever locations you can. So some of them are in
Yep.
sketchy locations. And then
Yep.
it's like late at night, after midnight, 1 a.m., sometimes that you're getting out in these sketchy locations. And as somebody who might be a woman or a person of color, right, that can
Yep.
be very terrifying that at the end of the day, do you feel like you can even park there? How do you even get transportation there? How do you get
Yep.
home at the end of the day? Yeah. Do you go?
Yep.
How many of the competitors are coming with their pepper spray? What
Yep.
types of competitors
Probably
have to come with pepper spray?
exactly. It's yeah. I mean, honestly, and I think it's an issue that still has room for growth. I think that a lot of these tournaments are hosted at like the majors, at least, are hosted at hotels where all the players are staying in the same place. And a lot
Yes.
of the issues are the ones that are happening after the games.
Hmm.
And I feel that there's a space for leaders in the community and tournament organizers to give an outlet just in case. But I don't know. This is
Hmm.
turning into like a brainstorming session, but
Yeah.
like maybe I should like start writing this
Uh,
down. But
yeah. No, but I
but
love
yeah,
that. That's what the space is supposed to be. Like, how do we create then spaces that we
yeah,
want to actually show up in? Because speaking generally, like a lot of gaming spaces, the networking or the party that happens afterwards are at these
yeah,
nightclubs. And I personally, I feel old. Like the sound is too loud. People step on my toes and they spill drinks on me. I don't enjoy that.
yeah,
I want a
yeah,
place where I can get warm food and a milkshake.
absolutely.
So, but these are also places where it's easy to have like your drinks spiked.
Yep, yep,
Places where anyone can swap your drinks, or it's hard for you to find a seat.
yes,
Any degree of safety, like when you're always bumping into people, or that it feels very normal that people can use the excuse to bump into you to physically continue to touch you.
yes, yes, 100%. Well said. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's room for improvement,
Hmm.
and there's room for it to grow, and things that I want to do, representing Majesty stepping in,
Hmm.
and I guess just to like circle back to uh, chat and saying somebody said something about a sponsor, but it's so what Majesty is now is something that I found after doing some research on other organizations that support women in gaming.
Hmm.
I realized that some of them, or a lot of them, were focusing on the aspect of education. And I think education is super important, but I think that there's still room for supporting the players, actually, like
Hmm.
actually supporting the players and what the players need. Uh, what Majesty supports is women and non-binary players. And I started realizing that what I needed was like, I need a sponsor. I need somebody that will give me the resources and the support to be able to go to these tournaments. And it was actually a conversation I had with somebody, and they were like, why don't you just like start your own? And I was like, that's crazy. Okay. And
You're like, what?
but yeah, and there were a couple women that I knew in the Texas scene, and just through
Mhm.
contacts, I got in contact with them, and I gave them this like ragtag idea. I was like,
Yeah.
"So you don't know me, but I know you, and we should do this thing." And they
That
were
opening
super
is a
trusting.
little intense.
I know, but luckily I had some mutual contacts,
Yeah.
and yeah, so but um but we ended up forming a team, and so we have four players in Texas. I'm based in Texas,
Hmm.
and then we have uh, one player in Chicago and one player in New Jersey.
All right.
And so yeah, and it's been fantastic so far. And I think that what I want Majesty to do in the future, and just like keep growing to be, is being able to gain more and more resources so we can give our players the opportunities. I think that's the word that I was looking for, is like,
Hmm.
I want players to have the opportunities to be able to compete with men. And that's like the getting down to it. I know there's a lot of
Hmm.
conversations about women only brackets, and but I think that competitively, at the end of the day, women should be allowed, not allowed, but they should compete with men, like they should.
Hmm.
um And I don't think that women should be separated. I know why they become separated, and I understand it.
Mhm.
And there's a couple things on this. Like, there's a competitor, a top player. Her name's Kiwi, and Supergirl Kells.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a video about this, which I ended up watching before I started the concept of Majesty. And I I understand that separating women and the challenges that come from it. And while I say that, Majesty still does women non-binary brackets, but we do that for the sole purpose of introducing players into the scene that are new, or players that aren't super confident competing in main bracket, and or just players that just want to like vibe with people that are like similar to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, it's been very successful. We went to Super Smash Con, which is the biggest tournament in Virginia. We went to Port Priority, which is in Seattle. Yeah, lots of tournaments. So
I love this iteration of Majesty. And I appreciate that you see, like, yeah, there are some people who are kind of doing the separate, and here's how we handle it. Because as we have this idea that, yes, right, eventually we're all integrated, women, non binary, everyone should be able to compete in these same spaces, in the esports
yeah,
space, like, we're all capable of it. Right now, there are a lot of different solutions. And it's not
for
saying, like,
sure.
we can't ever do that solution. You're saying, like, there are a lot of solutions. Here's our pathway that we're taking towards
Yes.
this, right? And it's running parallel to all of these. And by having these options, then we're actually giving all of our players an opportunity to choose which one's right for them,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
I think it's definitely not like us versus them. It's people or different organizations, I think, supporting women non-binary players in esports have different paths to take. I think you
Mhm.
said it well. Um, and I think that my role and Majesty's role is to support the players and give them the resources they need to be able to compete at their maximum capacity.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah.
Yes. I love that. And I like that you tier it up for people. Like, yes, we do have some that are just women non-binary tournaments as a starting point. Like the idea is that you don't stay
Mhm.
there. Like we're gonna push you out eventually.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
go. We want you at this tournament. We're gonna take you to this
Yeah.
con. We're gonna go to Smash. Right?
Yeah.
Like eventually you're dragging them to something because you're excited for this next step. But it's
Yeah.
a really good first stage as you recognize tournaments alone, in addition to, of course, being a woman or non-binary, already deal with a lot of stress. Like it's your first thing. Like, are you showing up? People are going to be watching you. There's the pressure that it's an actual tournament, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and just the pressure from like we just opened another can, but
let's
um
open it. No, no, no. This is the
I,
kitchen. We open all cans here.
all
Okay,
right, we'll
maybe
cook,
that's
we'll
not a
cook.
good policy in the
Cook.
cooking, but yeah, we're cooking
Well,
here.
all right. Um yeah, so I think the pressure of playing in a tournament is already, regardless of the gender you are, is already just baseline stress.
Yes.
But then we add, if you're a marginalized gender competing in that tournament, the biases that you're going to get against you just by sitting down.
Yeah.
And like the stories that you tell yourself because of the experiences that you've had, and the so you play your game, and you win or you don't win, and then there's different paths that that could go, and whether the experience is positive or a negative one. And I think that most of the Majesty players have had the experiences of the negative ones. um, will determine like how your next tournament goes, and then it just like goes and goes. And yeah, so I think there's already the pressure of being a competitor, but then the pressure of being a competitor as a woman. And something that Kiwi and Superhero Kells talked about was the pressure of competing against other women, because then yeah,
Yes.
then the community puts on you like, oh, like she's the best female player, like, oh, best female, like, oh, like what if I'm just like the best Sonic player, like what if I'm just like the best Pac-Man,
Best
or I'm
Zelda.
like best Zelda.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Own it. Own it.
And yeah, well, I said that because like that's Kells and Kiwi's characters, but like but yeah, exactly, it's like what. And yeah, I just think there's already lots of pressure that women have to face, and then the pressure of putting like all of those layers on top of it too. It gets exhausting. And yeah.
Yeah, it compounds
uh,
itself because each game is not existing in a vacuum. You can't be like, I'm going to ignore everything that happened before. All of my past experience, not just even at that tournament, like any interactions that you've had with other previous players, or how you know that they talk about women or non-binary folks in the space, and now you're sitting across from them, right, on stage as you compete, and you're like, you're now suddenly representing a much larger fight than you were prepared for, right? On top of everything, and then knowing beyond it, yes, there's a positive and negative, and then there's like within each of those like different subcategories, like there's positive, but it was positive, but right, now I've got this next thing, there's positive, but there are also a bunch of negatives, right? So there's balance to it, and it's not just this easy, you show up, you compete, you keep your head clear, you win, and everything's good and nothing else matters.
I wish. But then where's the fun in it, I guess, of personal growth and stuff. But I don't know. It is hard because a lot of it is out of your control. And but that's what Majesty is hoping to do, is clutch on to everything and control everything and make nobody have a bad experience ever. Just kidding.
Never. Perfection.
I wish. But no, but I don't know. So far it's been good, and like the players are wonderful people, and I am privileged that they trust the organization so far. And Majesty is slowly growing into like a community. We have a Discord opened up to all Smashers that want to join, or just anybody really, like, and it's so refreshing because I was working on the Discord, and like I get to add channels like aesthetic channel and like skincare and makeup channel, but then also add like gaming and clips. And I think the combination of that is a space that even I am experiencing for the first time, and it's so refreshing.
That you actually get to bring your whole self to a space.
Absolutely.
Right. These gaming spaces aren't ever just gaming. Like I've never been to a Discord where they only talk about the one game that's been, around that topic. There's always a million other channels that bring in lifestyle, because it's where we live. A Discord is a virtual home. And so you want to be able to have a lot of variety in. I honestly, now that you say that, I'm trying to think of some other general ones where a makeup channel would exist when it's not owned or managed by a woman or non-binary person.
Yep. I mean, like, it's funny you said that, because you were saying that you were thinking of other channels, and I was like, well, there is one Smash channel I'm in, and all they talk about is Smash, and it's like that's it, only Smash. And but it's refreshing, and it's exciting to see. I think spaces like this often can bring out the different parts of people, and how Smash isn't the only part of a lot of these players, and a lot of these women non-binary players. They have other personalities and like parts to them that they want to bring, and I think it's been it's been cool.
Kind of as Lori says, like building that strength in numbers, more representation of saying, we're here. The topics that we care about are also just as important. So like, give us our fun channels, give us our things that help represent us and allow us to bring ourselves into the space just as much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it's been a good year. I'm excited for the next year, and we'll see what else Majesty has to bring.
So Majesty has been growing, right? As this opportunity, you started off right with the initial one, the small little booth. Starting to offer with like helping out with escorting people, like, hey, let's get you into it. Honestly, I love the basis of it, because I think it seems so intimidating to say like you have to start off with something big. Having a booth, even though you described it as like not as a big showcase. It's not a circus that you put on.
She was modest.
She was modest. She was very modest.
Yeah.
Seeing that can be so powerful alone, no matter what degree it is. I can't imagine for those players coming in the first time and seeing a booth and says, that's a safe place for me, how important that is, even if it's not pretty cool. Your Walmart curtains, right? It's seeing, it's not even however the booth is decorated. It's seeing a person there and saying, this matters. Your safety matters. If you feel unsafe, here's a very obvious and clear place where you can come and you can hang out with us. You can talk to
Yes.
us. We're going to be your advocate. Because so many times if there's an issue, if I myself have felt this way, like there's small slights, but I'm like, do I escalate it? Who do I go to talk to this? Is it that big of a
Yep.
deal that I would need to go to the tournament director? Probably
Yep.
not. Or am I going to be seen as being problematic or someone who's
Yeah.
throwing problems? Because these communities are dramatic already, right? Like
Yeah.
there's
Absolutely.
there's already a lot of energies and competitiveness, and if I bring up this, is this going to label me a certain way that other people aren't going to want to invite me to this, that they're not
Yep.
going to hang out with me afterwards, or they're not
Yeah.
gonna, right, whatever it needs to be. So I can imagine that was very powerful. What was it like for you, who was there at that booth, to be able to connect with people for that first time, to be like, yes, this is the first time you're seeing a booth like this actually at a Smash tournament?
Yeah. I think when Safely was like a booth, I think people, and I think still there's an issue with competitors. Literally what you just described, feeling scared to approach and talk about their experiences. I think most of the comments I got were like, so great you're doing this, so glad you're doing this. I think that as Majesty grows and becomes more of like, uh, not even like a brand, but like a representation in the Smash community of like, this is where you go whenever you are struggling. Because I think I'm starting to diverge from your question.
Don't worry, you go the
But
pathway you want. I'm following.
I okay. I think that what I hope is that the more that I am able to, or Majesty is able to get into the community, the more trust we can build with the community. And with trust, whenever you're talking about a lot of the serious issues that people are bringing up, of like, there was a situation where I felt very uncomfortable. Somebody made a transphobic comment to me. Somebody said this to me. I don't know what to do, and I don't know who to go to.
Mm.
Um, the goal is to get it to a place where it's like they could trust this organization to be like, I got you, and this is what we're going to do about it. This is how we're going to handle it, period.
Mm.
So, but yeah, it's challenging. And I think another challenging aspect of just gaming and Smash is a lot of it is on um Twitter, or X. X,
Yes.
Twitter.
We'll
Yeah.
call it Twitter here. Let's be clear. It
Yeah.
feels weird just saying it's
Exactly.
on X. It feels like
Yeah.
a light porn site if we just call it X. I've been dying to
So
say that. So
true.
that's
So
all it
true.
is.
No, but for real, like a lot of it is on Twitter, and that was something that I struggled a little bit to like understand the Twitter culture whenever I first entered the
Mm.
community. And a lot of the stuff that happens is on Twitter, and so then there's managing, not only managing people, but then helping manage like things that are happening on Twitter that don't necessarily happen in person, which is like, it's a digital age unique thing. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes.
so
It's another space in which we're talking about that exists outside of the tournament space, but it
yeah,
impacts the tournament space. It impacts the
it does.
competitors that come
Yep.
in. I want to tap
Yeah.
in even what Katie's saying, being the only female in your field, local company, let alone gay female. You don't feel like you can just talk to someone without pulling like the card, right?
Yes.
It's hard to be an advocate for yourself. And so Majesty really steps into that space to say, we're going to be those advocates for you. We're going to help guide
Yep.
you. And it's so nice to have uh, essentially like a mentor, an advisor who has confidence in this, because I don't know, it's hard to have confidence in our own selves in these space when we're new, when we're trying to break
For
in,
sure.
when we don't have that social currency, right? Like if we're brand new,
Yep.
I've never met the tournament director before. I haven't met in
Yep.
person any of these other players. They don't know me or
Yep.
trust me yet at this point. And so to be able to have someone there that says, I trust you, you can trust
Yep.
me, let me be
Yep.
your partner in this, that makes a world of difference.
I agree. I think when I first started competing, I didn't know anybody. I went to tournaments like by myself, and I remember I went to one tournament, and the tournament organizer was a woman. Shout out to Persia. And I think I remember seeing Persia, and I was like, it was just such a wave of like relief. And I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And that was actually one of the bigger tournaments at the time. Um, and even now, Persia's fantastic. She's, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw chat. Persia the goat. But Even now, Persia still runs tournaments, and she's a huge leader in the local community, and she's fantastic.
Yes.
But I think having more women in spaces like this, like in Smash and leadership positions, so then they can have other women can have the same experience that I had, where it's like you see somebody that you can relate to. It doesn't necessarily like have to be a woman, but like somebody that you can relate to and feel like, okay, I feel like that they could understand me. I feel like that I feel safer because I don't feel like as much of the minority anymore. Um,
Yes.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. That when you say something, you're going to be listened to and taken seriously.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because you hear small little things like, oh, just suck it up. You're like, but this could be my physical safety we're talking
Yeah.
about here. That kind
Yeah.
of comment can escalate very quickly to
Yep.
hurting me. It's
Yep.
not just trolling people or
Yeah.
having smack talk, trash talk, which I mean,
Yeah.
trash talk is something that definitely exists in the gaming
For
space,
sure.
is part of the culture.
Yep.
But there are boundaries still.
There are boundaries. It's a fine line, but I think boundaries is the best way to describe it.
Mhm.
That, yeah, I don't know, but
I
yeah.
like that you mentioned, of course, some clear ways like talking about even guidelines or escorting people for you, especially kind of Majesty serves more. If it feels like almost like a consulting agency, like every tournament needs to bring you all in. Whenever they're just planning a tournament, be like, how do we make this safe? What are some
Um,
easy things that you see either currently or that you think that they're missing up on to say like, hey, before you even start, the actual competition, these are things that you can do to make sure that more women and non-binary individuals even want to come and compete at this space? What are things that show like green flags that say I want to be there now?
that's a good question. I noticed that one of the tournaments recently, sure, let's think. I think having women on the staff, like there's a lot of people that run a tournament. There's production, there's commentary, there's tournament organizers. I think having and displaying confidently your women and non-binary staff um, helps create a sense of, I don't want to say like just direct diversity, but it is diversity that makes me feel like, okay, if you're willing to take these people seriously to run your tournament,
Yeah.
that I feel more comfortable going to a tournament that's not run only by like cis men.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and I think you're bringing up a question that like is
We're all still trying to solve, right?
but it's actually filling out holes that are helping me think about things that I could do to fill in those holes.
Hmm.
Because like let's say we go to a tournament. The tournament's in person.
Yeah.
We got to go to the hotel.
Hmm.
We're gonna check into the hotel.
Hmm.
Then we're gonna come down to the venue. A lot of the times these venues are open really late. Maybe having like security there later. Um, I don't know. There was something that I've been wanting to implement for a while. That this is helping me fill out like address that hole.
Yeah.
Um, but
But you're right to think of
hmm,
like that timeline. Like, how do we start it from beginning to end? Even
yeah,
this will seem like a silly thing for me, but when I look at like things that I want to go to, I look at like how they advertise it on social posts. Like, if all of their pictures are just of white men, I think like I don't think they're trying to advertise to me.
yeah. That's a good point.
Right? Like, oh,
It's it's kind of messed up though. Like I feel like that I am so well, I don't want to say this, but I'm so used to it that I'm struggling to think of like what do I want? Like how do I want to feel comfortable?
yes.
Um, these are good questions to be asking and
Yeah.
questions that we need to answer. Because I think that the Smash community in general can have such a bad reputation and have experiences that are like awful that I'm just it's like, yeah, well that's normal. And so I think it's like stunting me from thinking about like all of these holes that like yeah, well of like of course this is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
but
Yes. I think there's
yeah,
a balance, right? Because there's the decision that we want to do things, and it's trying to figure out like what actually is helpful, and then being able
Yeah.
to tell people like this is helpful was I went to it was a small little like LAN party tournament. It was
Mhm.
for women. They got actually a sponsor for like prizes. Um, and all I don't know, like I wasn't necessarily mad at it, but all of the prizes were pink,
Oh.
and it felt like the sponsor just said, "Oh, it's for women. They'll definitely like all pink headsets." And I'm like, "That's not like I don't want
Ooh.
to. I don't get me wrong. There are some days I really love pink, but there are also a lot of days that I don't like pink. And so to just
Absolutely.
the default is you're a woman, you love pink.
You like pink.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. And I think that there hasn't been any like tournaments yet in the Smash community that's been like, for women, and you get this like Hello Kitty ear set
Yep.
pink thing, and it's like, thanks,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
For me,
Yep.
uh,
Some people
uh,
like it, but it's like it's have then give us variety. Or like if
yep,
you're gonna give us heads up,
100%,
give us heads up options. Like here's a purple one, an all black one, and a pink one, right? And then don't
100%.
make me take the pink one. Let me choose.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah. Uh, that's what LAN party was that?
it was it
Like
was
what game?
it was a smash. I wasn't competing, but I went to go see.
Oh, oh, it
Um,
was Smash.
yeah,
Nice.
but it was like just local. They were trying again. They were trying to do something cool. They wanted to invite more women in the space.
Yeah.
But it was one of those like I see the effort, but it was misplaced.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other hard thing. Like if suddenly all of their social media pictures were only of women,
Yeah.
I'd also be really skeptical. Like this is not actually what it looks like though. If I show up, I'm not gonna. This is not gonna be a 1-for-1 of
Yeah,
what we're
absolutely.
creating.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Dang.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at least, yeah. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I think we're thinking of the right way. Like the point is like we're not going to solve everything tonight, but we want to
True.
make sure that we're having dialogues and we're creating spaces like Majesty Gaming that says we're aware of this. We want to start moving forward with it.
Yep.
If we're going to start with these two actions, we're going to do these and we're going to do these really well. And then we're going to take on a third and then we're going to take on a fourth, right? Like
Yep.
I think sometimes in not just gaming, right? Like in our greater world, we like to pretend that we shouldn't do something unless it solves everything, which I don't know whatever solution has ever solved everything of an issue.
Yeah.
But we're starting and that's the key thing. Like we can't fix everything, but we're going to work and improve this aspect. And if we can improve it enough for these women, then and non-binary individuals and we welcome them into the space, it's going to create a domino effect that they're going to then be able to welcome others, that they're going to be able to
Yeah.
set the standard. That's all we really need to do. We don't have to make it perfect.
For sure. Give me a sec. Let me write this down. I'm just kidding.
We're all thinking
You
together.
just no,
You're
you
inspiring me. And I'm like, oh,
I mean, I don't know. That was super well said. I have to often remind myself that
Mhm.
I can't solve everything immediately, and I want to. I go to a tournament and I'm like, I want to fix everything right now, tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's we have to check ourselves. I have to check myself and think that look backwards. This is what we've done, and this is what we're going to do,
Mhm.
and this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's but I don't know. I do see a couple of the players in chat. I appreciate their support, and they're saying a lot of good things, and I love that they're sharing their experiences. I did see Lori said, "Oh, Twitch chat, true."
Yes. There's
And
actually
that's a
some
whole
really good actionable things of like, yes, pronouns, having those included. The amount of time I'm seeing, and especially for like the commentators, that they don't know what pronouns actually to give the
yeah,
competitors, like that
yep,
kind of list would be so informative. Um,
yes,
Moderation of chat, like making sure like it's standard. I know you mentioned like Smash doesn't always get as much support from its developers, right? Or we
yes,
see it sometimes. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of communities that are toxic, but I was just reviewing the other day like how Riot celebrates Pride Month and they do a whole lot, but they also do it outside of Pride Month too.
Oh, okay,
Right.
nice.
Like they support content creators across the board. Their
Yeah,
messaging is very clear. And so while there's always going to be a lot of toxicity still in that space, it's a little
yep,
bit less than when I see like Nintendo doing its performative Pride Month post that's 3 weeks into the month because they may have forgotten about Pride Month. I'm calling them.
Yep.
I'm just gonna call it out a little bit. Like it was a
No,
little disappointing, right? Like
you're 100% right.
you know,
Yeah, sorry. I don't know. It, Nintendo,
the sound alone.
Nintendo. I feel Nintendo and a lot of the North American tournament organizers for Smash tournaments,
Hmm.
I don't want to say sort of operate a little bit separately, but they sort of operate a little bit separately
Yeah.
because a lot of it is crowdfunded or all of it is crowdfunded or sponsored. But they're, even though Smash doesn't have a lot of support from Nintendo, there was a tournament this last weekend which had like I don't a couple 5,000 6,000 uh viewers for the tournament.
Yeah.
I think that that's a hefty amount representing the Smash community, and because we're a little bit like of a smaller community than other competitive games, which isn't even that small, it's still hundreds of thousands of people.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, I still think that it will touch a lot. Yeah, but
Yes.
yeah, Nintendo, it's
The yes,
yeah,
we've got sound.
yeah,
but
it's
that's it, it is where it is and we recognize it, and by being honest with that, that's where we get to improve. Like if we weren't to be like, yeah, they're doing their best, we're going to accept it and be good, then that closes the door for us saying like we can improve.
yep,
That's the real
that's true,
challenge. That's the real challenge.
absolutely.
Um I love seeing all that we have in chat, and there's actually a lot of good questions in here. Like even Draco mentioning, like, yeah, not even thinking about bringing pepper spray or I use the kitty cat keychains, um,
Yes,
the
yes,
stabby ears. Right, those are
yes,
nice. Like thinking about what it takes, or yeah, that you've been competing for 10 years, right? How long we have to keep telling this story.
yeah.
Draco also asked a good question. What do you think allies can do in this space to be more welcoming? Maybe they're not the tournament directors, but they're fellow
Hmm.
competitors or attendees. What are even like small behaviors, like if like maybe this one person did something to you and you're like that made a difference. They aren't part or identify the same way, but they, as being somebody who's more comfortable within that space, made a good reach out to me.
Yeah, I think that's where the education part comes in,
Hmm.
of uh, marginalized genders in gaming and becoming aware of what a situation is that makes somebody uncomfortable,
Hmm.
and putting yourself in a space and in empathetically understanding how another person's experience could be.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to understand that this person is at a tournament by themselves, and even just like the memes on Twitter of like, is this your first tournament?
Hmm.
Like, do you know what the rule set is? Like, do you know? And just taking a moment and teaching yourself, educating yourself, even just having conversations with these people and asking them what their experiences are.
Hmm.
And that's where the education part comes in. Learn, like, put effort into learning. And I think that's what allies can do to help the space. Um, and we're not asking you to necessarily solve the issue, but I think that uh, educating yourself and understanding, and then being a supporter in that way is helpful
Mm.
and pivotal and necessary.
Yes, yes. Be open to that learning, right? Like, let's say it happens and you get someone's pronouns wrong and they correct you. Take it with grace. Thank them for correcting you. Like, that's
Yes.
important. They took the energy to let you know. Don't get
Yep.
defensive, because being
Oh
defensive
yeah.
shuts those conversations down and it creates, like, it's not meant, like, you fix it. I'm sorry, I did it wrong. We make those
Yeah.
adjustments. We move forward. We become better people. But if we become defensive, it really stops us from moving forward. Like you can't plant
It
your
does.
shield and walk through it, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, 100%. Yeah, and I think when I say speaking to women, I stop myself. I think there are different ways to approach somebody who's at a tournament by themselves for the first time.
Yeah.
I think there are different ways that we could go about helping them feel included without making them uncomfortable. Um, and maybe setting your intentions correctly in the beginning, communicating what it is that you want to do whenever you're communicating with somebody that's new in the community.
Hmm.
Um, So, and yeah, like don't get defensive
Yeah.
about anything. If it's like, yeah, this like made me feel weird, don't be like, what do you mean it made you? Yeah, I mean, whatever, like down the rabbit hole. But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm. Well, and I see, I want to tag in because Smash even said, like, I need to get better about correcting people with your pronouns. Like, you shouldn't have to, is the first thing.
true.
That shouldn't have to happen. And it's okay if you don't have the energy or the capacity to correct people. That's not something. But at the same time, know that you deserve to be identified correctly, right? That this is how you identify. We should respect that and we identify and say it. So whether
Yep.
it's on stream or even in small little conversations, it doesn't matter the level. It's you and you deserve to
Yep.
be seen, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the key thing. And that's a hard balance too, right? Like of saying like, well, you have to let me know, like, or you could ask, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
hard because we forget. Sometimes we go into
Yeah.
default mode. We've been through conversations and we just assume our conversations are going to be the same that we've had with everyone else, and that's where we get ourselves into trouble. I do that sometimes, and it's like, oh, I went into
Yeah.
autopilot, you know?
Yeah. For real. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because it is not their job to have to educate people on what their pronouns are. And it is a hard balance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the expectation is that if you have the energy to tell somebody or correct somebody where your pronouns are, the expectation should be for that person to receive it gracefully,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yeah.
And any other way is not on you at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
No questions, no extra commentary needed. Got it. We move
yeah.
forward and we apply it.
Yes.
That's the idea. That's the idea. And we want to keep pushing people towards that. And the more welcoming we can provide it. And I think this is also a good thing that allies could provide is demonstrating that good behavior.
Yep.
You know, accepting it with grace, turning down those conversations. We're like, well, it's a hassle. No, actually, it isn't that hard. Small little rebuffs like that go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it makes me think in situations where a lot of these like after parties and like hotel parties are taking place at, I think what allies have the power to do is have like if there's a conversation, a gross conversation being had, like you have the power to shut that down because you have the voice that will be taken seriously without questions asked and shutting down those conversations. And I think that is another way to play a decent role and setting a culture and a standard of what's acceptable and what's not.
Yes. Yes.
So
And that's the thing. Culture is hard to change when it's just
yeah.
the oppressed group trying to say we should change it.
Yes, that's correct.
That's a little harder to fight that.
Yeah.
So the more people we get on board with this, the easier it is. I'm checking myself because that's important to do, right? Like I'm checking. I'm like, I don't know if I asked about our pronouns beforehand. So let me just clarify. So I'm caustic and I go by she, her pronouns. How about you?
Via share and also she, her.
Awesome. Look how easy that was, and no one died.
Yay.
But those are quick little conversations. Is like, yeah, we just do a check.
Yep.
Even small little things like I don't always like to go by my first name. It feels weird, and like my mom's always talking to me whenever you just when people call me my first name. So it comes on many levels, and it whatever the reason is, we just ask because we want to respect that person.
Yes, 100%.
End of day. Let's go ahead and take a little 5-minute breather break. Get some water, stretch a little bit. I'm gonna open a window because I'm sweating in here. I'm getting energized by our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do the same.
Yeah. When we come back, I also want to talk because I've seen so many times in chat about the merch, about how you're kind of building out more Majesty next steps. Let's get into some of that because I've heard so many people's like, listen, this merch is fire. I can't wait to wear it to the next tournament. So we're gonna pick up from there. Sound good?
That sounds fantastic. We'll
Perfect.
see you in a minute.
5 minutes, friends. Guess what, friends? We're back. Pink Pixels via Share is here, and we have been talking about Majesty Gaming, all that you've been doing, and of course, while you've been making good changes in the lives of competitors at tournaments, you're also making some fashion statements as well. Your merch has been heralded as something absolutely amazing. It's got some amazing slogans on it. Tell us a little bit about it. Give us the reveal.
Yeah, for sure. So if you go to our website, majestygaming.gg, on the front page, it'll have a link to go to the shop. So we've got 3 designs. This is our first launch of Majesty merch in general. And so the first design I'll talk about is the Low Tide City shirt. So what that is I'm not looking at it right now, but we have a designer in the local area, and I kind of just like stumbled upon her like the lottery, and I was wanting to do some Majesty designs in general, and I was at a tournament one day, and this player's partner, she was there, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm a designer. I could totally do this for you." And I was like, "That's incredible," because we have this tournament coming up, and the point behind this merch is to help fundraise getting all of our players to go to a tournament called Low Tide City, which is in Austin, and it's the last Low Tide City ever. Forever. What? I know it's tragic. But the thing is there's also another one in North Michigan called Riptide, and it's unique because it's hosted at Kalahari, which is like an indoor water park. Interesting concept, indoor water parks, but like this but this is one of my favorite tournaments ever. It's run by T-Lock, one of the biggest like Texas tournament organizers, and that's actually the same tournament that I had the Safely booth up at a couple years ago. And but yeah, so that's what the initiative is of these shirts. So the first one is that's all the players on there are the Majesty mains. So we actually have 2 Zeldas on the team. There's 2 Zeldas, and they're in little inner tubes, like going down the slide. And so they have, yeah, it's like they're going down in a swirly slide, and it says like Low Tide City on it. So that's the first one. The second one is from personal experiences from me and from other people and players, and it's kind of a meme where it says, "No, this is not my first tournament. Thank you." And that was one of my I actually came up with that one and the bracket baddie, which I'll talk about in a sec. But so I remember mulling over it, and I wanted a shirt that was a little bit sassy, and I thought that one would be perfect. And I think the rainbow added onto it gives it a little bit of like irony to it. It's like a rainbow and like sparkles, and it's a 4-colored rainbow, and it's the Majesty colors on it. And so then it says, "This is not my first tournament," and then it says, "Thank you."
Yeah.
So that's a common question that's asked to a lot of marginalized genders in the Smash community. Like, "Oh, is this your first tournament?" Like, "Oh, like, no, it's not. No. Thank you." But
I'll volunteer that info if it is. Thank you, though.
Yeah, yeah. So that was another one, and then the last one kind of just like beamed into my brain. But it's bracket baddie. So that one's just kind of simple and done, and like bracket baddie done. That's me.
Here we go. I'm gonna try something. I haven't built this out completely, so I'm not sure what this OBS scene is gonna look like, but I wonder if I can share my screen. I'm gonna try it real quick to see what pops up. Oh, good.
Ooh,
it worked.
You're beautiful. I love that you were saying earlier that you weren't like into pink, but I love your green energy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
This has been my green era these past few years.
We love green.
Yes. Okay. Our nameplates aren't here, so you guys know our names. Just let that be. But everything else pulled over, and I wanted to show this because, first of all, look at these. Right, there's the bracket baddie. Here's the cute slide. Let's get into. Okay, so here's the slide.
I also modeled all of
look
that.
Look at this. I love it.
Yeah, that one, I love that one. The designer did such a good job. That's actually gonna be me totally at Low Tide. That's like the best part about that tournament is to play bracket and then get to go to the water park afterwards after you lose.
No one
And
loses then officially if you get to go to the water park afterwards.
exactly. That's so true. That's exactly right. But yeah, so our players, we have Z3. She's one of the top players in Texas, actually. She's the young link at the top. We have Cheeky, who's the next one. That's Lori in chat. We
Okay.
have Solar Rose. Oh, sorry. I'm going on. We have Solar Rose, who's the first Zelda. She's a Chicago Zelda player. Uh, we have Dare Bear, who she plays Ness and Palu and Pikachu, but we put Ness because Ness was chill.
Yeah.
And then the next one is me, the other Zelda player. And then we have Chibi Chibi in New Jersey, who's Pyramithra player.
I love
So
this. This
I
is
love them.
this is so amazing and it's super fun. I think this is great. $25 is incredibly reasonable for this adorable shirt. Holy macaroni.
Yes.
Look
And
at
all of these,
this could be you all friends.
exactly, at the pool, at
Hmm.
the low tide city on the slide.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, so every cent of proceeds made from these shirts are going to fund the Majesty players for this trip. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and it's just the merch is like I think it's pretty stylish and I think it's fun. It goes pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I
Oh
kind
yeah.
of like it.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
but
It does. It
yeah.
does. Plus nice little tattoo here, of course, for getting
Thank
in.
you, thank you.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
But I love it. Like you get a cool, awesome shirt that you can wear that looks amazing, and of course you're supporting a good cause to get Majesty Gaming right into these spaces, and ultimately that's
Yeah.
what we love. Yes,
Yes.
10 out of 10. Look at this. Look at the full look. Look at these vibrant colors.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at one of the others. We'll keep going through. Let's take it. This bracket baddie.
Bracket
Here.
Betty.
Again, great price. $50 for our sweatshirt here. This is adorable.
Yes. It's embroidered, so the letters, the other two are screen printed, but this one is embroidered on it. And the vendor that's doing this for us is a popular, I think they're mostly in Melee, but they're called True Customs. And they have a lot of excellent stuff too, but they're fantastic. They're at a lot of big tournaments, and they agreed to help us. Yeah, and we love them. And yeah, but they embroider Bracket Batty. So yeah.
Dang, I love it. I love it. Is it soft?
Yes, it's super nice.
Sorry, it's
Yeah,
important, right?
I've already worn it like back to back. So a little bit of shirt recycling, but yeah, I love it so far.
We're doing a nice little shout out for True Customs here, right? This looks
Yes.
great. And I love that it's embroidered in because especially
Yes.
after you wash it enough times and you want that contrast, especially if you've got black with white, you can't have
Yes.
that white fading. It looks terrible.
Yes, it's excellent quality, and I've got some of their embroidered stuff in the past, and I like wear the hell out of it, and I've washed it so many times, and it's still like top tier.
Ah,
So
okay. That's awesome. This looks
yeah,
great. This looks great. All right. Cool. And then we have this is not my first tournament.
thank you. Yes,
I think this is amazing. Like the big no and not, like good highlight here with our little stars around it. Like
yeah,
it adds a nice little twinkle and I'm getting the full sass. Like you tried,
yes,
darling, but no.
yes, exactly, exactly.
This is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, but
And
well,
I think what I like most about all of these is that they're inspired by real experiences that we have, right? Being a bracket
yes,
baddie, we experience that. Like, yes, we're dominating. We feel awesome. We're those badasses.
yes,
Or no, this is not my first tournament, right? Like that's part of like we have to continually to provide this. And every time people ask, because they're not being jerks, but it's not a good question. So we have to be
yeah,
polite at the same time.
yes,
Because if we're
yeah,
rude, then we get attacked for being rude.
yeah,
Um, you know, and even our last one here, when we're talking about our low tide city, like this is part of the experience. When we go, we want to be represented. We want to see what we create, what we do, especially since low tide city will not be coming back after
I
this
know.
year. So you know, it
Yeah,
captures these moments. It's so
yeah,
nice to have things that help us remember these experiences that we create, and that's what makes it special.
absolutely. Yeah, it's I'm excited to see people wearing these shirts, especially at Low Tide City. But yeah, and I think it's just like Smash merch goes hard, and I think like honestly, True Customs is one of the, I don't want to say the only, but one of the few that I've seen at majors that tailor Smash specific merch
Mm-hmm.
like to other styles. And one of the designs I really like by them is like a GameCube controller, but it's embroidered in flowers, and it's like it's amazing.
Wow.
It's and that was one of the first like merch pieces that I saw where I was like, wow, like I I feel represented with like a different style of clothing, like a little bit more feminine. And like I recently, like I've been embracing like my femininity a little bit more, and it gives me confidence like being at tournaments, like embracing that feminine side. And
Mm.
I felt like in the beginning of Smash, for I felt that I I had to, sorry, I remembered something, but
Yeah, yeah.
um like I feel that I would purposefully dress like a little bit more like masculine presenting to feel more comfortable. And I feel like that there's like a sense of power and
Mm.
embracing the femininity, and I feel like it's a balance. Like,
No, it
but
is.
yeah,
Yes. I, I,
but
I mean, let's be honest. When we were first getting into these spaces, we did what we could. Oops, sorry, I brought my screen over here. uh, we did what we could to make ourselves feel like we were one of the boys, right?
yep,
Like
yep,
we were trying to blend into the space so that way they would accept us and say, like, look, they wear shirts like we wear. They are one
yeah,
of us. Like it was the weirdest form of trying of trickery. Not great stealth, but
yes,
maybe we assumed they were dumb enough to buy into it, right?
yeah,
But but now we get to explore and not feel like we're stuck in a box to say, okay, we don't have to look like all the other gamers here. And
yeah,
gaming as a whole has been trying to understand what fashion is now. Like we've seen other brands or even like 100 Thieves, right, start to
yeah,
explore like maybe we do nice button up shirts. Maybe
yeah,
we do more athletic wear. Like there's a whole variety, even pajamas. Like I've been
yeah,
enjoying that, right? Like
yeah,
it's good to see that again at the end of the day that we have options. Like the shirts aren't
yeah,
just this one size fits all because humans are not just the generic one size.
yeah.
You know, giving us
I
those
agree.
options helps and makes it feel like we are supposed to be here.
I agree 100%. But but yeah, so that's our merch. Check it out. All proceeds go to support the players, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and let's match everybody at low
Yes.
tide.
Yes.
So,
Can you imagine seeing everyone wearing them? Like,
oh my gosh,
yes,
that'd be incredible.
let's make it
Yeah.
happen. Let's make it happen.
Yes. 100%. Let's do it now.
All
But
right. That's
yeah.
the wish, right? Put it out
Yeah.
there. But it's important for us to say those things. That way people will
Yeah.
start spreading like, "Oh, we're all wearing these shirts." Yeah, we're all wearing these shirts. We're all doing it and we're supporting a good cause and we're all going to take a picture
Yes.
together. Heck, even if it's the pressure of like, "Hey, there's going to be a social image." People like to do things so that they're part of like the shared experience, right? So
For
they'll do
sure.
it. Like there's so many people
For
that go to
sure.
cosplay cons and just dress up as Spider-Man so they can do the Spider-Man cha-cha
That's so
slang, you
true.
know? Right? Like cuz
Yeah,
it's a community. They want to be a part of that.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited just to get some merch out there and have a way for other members to like support our community without necessarily like being a sponsored player. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And no,
I like that. I like that. Because at the end of the day, more people are going to want to support you, but not all of us will be competitors. you
absolutely.
don't you don't want me competing for you. There's no way you'd
I
consider that.
disagree. I strongly
Oh,
disagree.
you'd see some sort of gameplay. But let's turn it. Instead of my gameplay, which would be very sad and just random button mashing, what about you, right? So what do you play now? Like Zelda has been your main from before. Where are you at now? And what are some of your hot takes in the Smash space? I want to know. You are our Smash queen. We have invited you on. I want all the insights that I can pluck from your brain.
Well, we're um
I just want to get
Steve,
a compilation of like all the sounds you make. You go, like
it's
you.
it's
It's so
I'm hyping
expressive.
myself up. It's like I'm feeling the repercussions before I've said it. And I know I said the name Steve, and
Hmm.
Steve is destroying the game. And I I I think that as I've played, and I haven't really been in the space long enough to know about the struggles of Smash 4 Bayonetta and Smash 4 Cloud.
Sure.
But I've heard of it, and I do like. I've been thinking a little bit more lately, and it's funny because somebody said this the other day when I was it was when I was playing on Wi-Fi, and they were complaining about they're like, oh, Zelda Nair, like Zelda like Fair is like, it's like such BS, like it's so bad, or not bad, like it's so OP. And I've been trying to kind of like get into playing other characters, and by other characters I mean one character, and I've been playing a little bit of Lucina, and the hot take of like playing an unprivileged character for so long and then switching to a more privileged character is such a interesting experience, because I think there's how many members in the cast, 70 characters that you can pick from.
Yeah.
I don't know, somebody fact check me on that, but like um and there's so many different characters with so many, and there's a reason that they're a tier list. And playing a character where you're able to um, do something, miss and not get punished. And I've been saying this thing recently, like for like the last couple times I was playing, I'm like, oh, if you miss, just try again. Like, oh, if you miss, just try again. And it's like a um, negative, sarcastic tone of another character that will like miss, and but that's okay because they don't get punished. And I think that's just like Zelda struggles. And I think I think yeah, I mean, she's a hard character, and I started like getting a little existential about it, because I was like, what if I'm like
Yeah.
playing Zelda because like I'm used to suffering like as like marginalized like gender in Smash, so I just suffer, and maybe I just like need to keep suffering because I'm playing this character. I know it's like super like
A glutton for punishment. Yes.
it is like a lot.
Yes.
But I just like love her, and maybe I'm a little bit scared of change, but I love her character. And when she works though, she works. Like, let me tell you, when she plays good, she's fun. And but that's when she plays good. There's not a
You got
lot
thoughts.
of like the top Zeldas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, lately in the last few tournaments, I think they've like barely gotten top 64, maybe. There's one in Japan that's really good. And YN is their tag. And there's a couple Zeldas in the United States, like Ray, of course, and Ven and Katy Perry. Katy Perry is actually, it's Kate. I know. I love telling people that name.
My brain broke for a hot second. I was
yeah,
like, I know it's not what I think, but
not the singer. So like, you know when you like parry in a fighting game?
yeah.
Like so it's like
Funny.
like Katie, but they're like one of the
actually.
better Zeldas. They're fantastic, and they're a member of the Majesty community, and they're actually one of like the first people in the community that I would talk to consistently. And they were able to give me like excellent advice, and like they're like a coach on Metafy, and they play Zelda, so I've been working with them for a long time, like to improve my own play. And a lot of our talk is like half of it is Smash, but like the actual inputs, but a lot of it is mental, and like a lot of this game is mental. Actually, so much of it is mental. And I was talking with one of the Majesty players, and her experiences of like she's been on the rise and in her region and getting really good. And we talked about like how she feels that there's a one-to-one of like how she's treating herself in her life is how well she performs in Smash. And like when you take care of yourself physically and emotionally and mentally, your Smash is reflecting that. And I think that was something that I learned from, and something to remind yourself that competitive games are hard, and like learning to balance and take care of yourself physically and mentally and emotionally, I think can like also improve your trajectory. Well, I say this, but Smash improvement is not linear. It's like this.
Yeah. You'll
Like,
see an
so
overall curve of
yes,
improvement. Like if you find
yes,
like the middle line between the ups and downs,
yes,
it will
yes,
slowly improve. But you're right, like the mental game is part of it. It's such a key course because it's the
yeah,
foundation of what you bring when you lift up that controller, when you know,
yeah,
make your plays, of how you react, of emotionally what you bring to
yeah,
the game. Again, nothing is, within a vacuum. All of it comes together. So you can't just pretend that if I destroy my body, my mental health outside of it, that when I come into the
yeah,
game, I'm suddenly going to be top tier.
yeah, 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 exactly. And I'm yeah, but I don't know. I say that, but some of them are like some of those younger players that are just like surviving off of like potato chips and Red Bull that are still top players.
They're
But
different.
I think in terms of like sustainability and like long-term growth, I think that taking care of yourself like mentally, emotionally, and physically is something that I need to remind myself. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear her experience as she's grown as a player, that she's had success from this.
Yeah. Well, and
But
that's a
yeah,
key thing. Like out of all of this, it's important that you have a network of other individuals that you can connect with and have these honest conversations with,
absolutely.
right? And being able to talk about like where we are mentally, what we're
Yeah.
bringing to the table, that's a degree of vulnerability. That's not small talk that you begin with and you just type that out in one of the Discord channels and throw that
Yep.
at someone, right? It
Yep.
it establishes a form of trust. It
Yep.
establishes vulnerability and a willingness to say, I want to be real with you. That's hard.
Yeah. It is hard. It takes practice,
Mm,
but
mm,
yeah.
you're here on that. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to have a point of clarification because it took me a second and then chat was helping me kind of figure this out. When you mentioned privileged character, it was definitely a bit of a switch for me when I was trying to think like what is a privileged character? Um
Oh yeah. So uh or do
it's
you want me
such a
to
different
answer?
take. Yes, please do.
Okay. Yeah. So when I say privileged character, I mean just like a fundamentally better character that is designed to be faster
Mhm,
in the game. Like a character that has safer shield options, safer options of out of shield,
mhm.
faster. Sorry, I was looking at a chat, but um, Zelda is a character that if she does something wrong, her punishment for it is going to be a lot higher than some of the characters that are fundamentally designed better. And that's where the tier lists come from. So when I say like privileged versus like not privileged, the characters that are higher on the tier list are fundamentally better characters versus those that are like lower on the tier list.
Mm.
Um, so
More highly
yeah,
punished, if I'm understanding correctly.
so like just better. Like the characters that are higher on the tier list are just better characters.
Okay. I didn't
And
know that. How did I not know this?
yeah, and I think that's like a struggle with like when we were talking about the life cycle of Smash,
Yeah.
and how it kind of like goes up and down. From what I understand, the ending of the life cycle of Smash 4 was these two characters, Bayonetta and Cloud, were
Yeah.
some of the best characters in the game, and to the point where it was like not fun to play against them because they were so hard to play against.
Mm.
And now how it is like Steve and Sonic are some of like the best characters in the game, to where there's actually been some Steve banned tournaments. So like a lot of tournaments are getting to the point to where they'll ban Steve.
Mm. Like it's just not
And
interesting. Pick someone else.
yeah, and I mean I actually played him or played Steve, and it was just like it was such a different, even as a Zelda player, it was such a different feel from the rest of the characters, because it's like the rest of the characters will have a base set of like jabbing, like they'll punch, and like they'll have an aerial, and they'll have like a low like move, and they'll have specials. But Steve is just like block, 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 block. And when I say Steve, I mean Steve from Minecraft. Like
Yeah.
it's
I'm all,
okay, sorry. Yeah, it's
no,
like
no, no, I'm
those
glad you
Steve.
clarified. Always do that.
Oh, no. But yeah, so you're building, it's like it's a little silly, but I understand the developers wanting to I don't know, be creative and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh
There's just
Question
going to be
mark.
mistakes when you try new things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even with Melee, like at tournaments, there's only 8 characters that are actually played out of the whole cast of like 30-ish characters. So yeah, it's like the best characters, which are like Marth, Sheik, Fox. Um, that's only 4, but yeah, I'm probably missing some. But
I
and
gotta.
there's a whole cast of characters. Oh, go
Okay,
ahead.
no, I gotta call it because Scrib mentioned this earlier. Where does the Wii Fitness character stand in all of this?
Oh, chat help. I'm gonna
Are they
guess around
valuable?
like
I mean, they do like
C.
what yoga poses.
I'm
Um,
actually okay. So if we have like
they've got a good
top
kick.
tier, I'm gonna say like mid tier. I'm
Mid
gonna say
tier,
mid tier.
mid tier,
I'm
better
gonna
than
say
Zelda.
better. Yeah, that's so right. uh,
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah, better than Zelda for sure. But yeah, so Wii Fit Trainer would be, I would say, middle to higher tier,
Okay.
middle high. Some of the low tier characters, Ganon,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Zelda.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, Little Mac. Uh, yeah, that. But it's funny because I love seeing. Actually, this last weekend it was a very what's the word? Refreshing top 8
Mm-hmm.
because we had character. We didn't have a. Did we have a Steven top 8? We might have had a Steven top 8, but it was like top 3 was a Corin,
Mm-hmm.
Peach, and DeBuzz got third. So like Min Min
Yeah.
and no Steve in top 8, which is it's very refreshing. So and there was a Mega Man in top 8, which is I think Mega Man's mid tier, but like
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
So with these lower
but
tiers, are you like maybe we should say goodbye to them until they get better, or is it just like we
no,
keep them there because we like to look at them?
we keep them there because the fellow low tier people also like to suffer. We
Why?
are
Why do you
just
like the suffering though?
we're in a constant state of like gaslighting ourselves until like we'll be the ones to like represent the underdogs and but honestly there are some really good like top player low tier characters out there. So and it's inspiring to see them because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'll look at other low tier players and I know that like
Mm-hmm.
they understand because they have to understand the game in a way that I feel more privileged characters don't have to understand.
Yeah.
Maybe not like at the top level, but like at a mid level, um, you have to understand the game more. And
Mm.
but that's a hot take.
All
But
right. So you're
that's
like, we just like to play it on a higher difficulty,
we're
is
just
kind of
like
what you're subtly
better and
saying.
like
Uh huh.
we're yeah like we
Mm-hmm.
understand the game more.
Yeah.
So
So move aside, you high tiers. You're taking the easy route. Some of us like a challenge when we
I know
play.
that was a hot take, but I respect all characters and like I understand like the challenges and all of the characters and
Yeah.
I yeah and Smash is hard period no matter what character you play.
Yes.
Um
That's very
so
diplomatic of you to say.
thank you. After I just was like I am better than everybody else. Nah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm not though. I am a I have my Smash linear struggles and definitely on the rise of improvement and lots of room for
Mm-hmm.
improvement. But uh, we just got to check ourselves sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
I think I wrote down actually in some of the notes in case we talked about it. But
Yeah.
when I started playing competitively in 2022, the sole reason I entered was not even like for fun necessarily. It was like I want to enter to be um, a high level player so I can be recognized and I can be taken seriously so people will listen to these issues, which puts a lot of pressure on myself because it's like um, then it's hard because
Whew.
like a lot of the times in the Smash community to be taken seriously you do have to be a top player and that's just the reality of it. Um,
I'm definitely starting to see that Zelda is a mindset for you. You
yeah,
like you like some of these challenges. Like most people, like
yeah,
if you do it, you love it, and that's why it's worth it for you to do those fights. You're like, I'm here for the fights, right? Like I'm here to play. Like forget the fun part. Like you do happen to
yeah,
enjoy it, but you're like, but the real goal here is me seeing the bigger change within this space. What a
yeah.
perspective flip on that. We're that's a lot of energy to bring into a fight. That's a lot of pressure you put on your shoulders there. Whew.
Yeah, little might yeah be one way to describe it. It's I'm slowly learning though,
Mm-hmm.
even recently to um, enjoy the game for what it is and
Mm-hmm.
like enjoy the people for what it is. And actually, somebody gave me a really good piece of advice with competition and community.
Yeah.
Um, I have to call out that like Texas Smash has been overall um, pretty fantastic, and I think that like in terms of support, and I think that there are some experiences that I've had that make my Smash career like more negative, and I think that there are different ranges of experiences that different people in the community have that make their experiences
Mm-hmm.
bad. Some people have bad experiences,
Yeah.
and but I've had the privilege to have some excellent support from Texas Smash, from allies, and from people in the Majesty community. But I was going somewhere with this.
But
Um,
you're right. Like there's
but
pockets, and you want to see a wave of overall growth.
yeah, and yeah. So I think the advice that somebody was giving me was that when I go to a local, and a local is just like, correct me if you already know this, but it's like a local versus a regional versus a major
Yeah.
is like locals are normally every week, like 20 to 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
Regionals are state based, and then majors are national or international.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I go to a local, they said, go and remember that everybody there, you're there to help each other and you're there to support each other, because Majesty is a niche community within itself, and this is something that I want to like start applying to it.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you go, remember that this small community of like Austin or Dallas or San Antonio, um, like that y'all are there to help each other. And when they beat you, that doesn't mean that it's like you're not good enough or like you're not representing like women in Smash good enough. Just take it, and like they beat you, so you have something to work to. And
Mm-hmm.
um, like whenever you beat them, now they have something to work to. And it's just like you slowly build up as a community together. And that's something as Majesty grows that I want to like start implementing that kind of advice with. It was really good advice. And yeah.
That reminds me,
But
my mentor used to have what he called his iron friends, right? That you challenge and you push each other as they continue to
yeah,
do better. It pushes you to continue to do better. Those are your iron friends that as you do that, you sharpen each other in that way. And it
yeah,
sounds like Majesty is really building iron competitors in this with that right positive mindset. Like we want you to be good because I want you to bring your best, so I beat you at your best.
yeah. I
You know.
think like within the Majesty community, that was something I experienced at I actually entered one of the brackets and I played one of the sponsored players. And at first I felt really weird about it because I was like, I don't want to like we're fighting against each other. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have like the concept that like Kiwi was talking about. And but then um in the middle of the game, I was like, no, like we both deserve to play our best. We
Mm-hmm.
both should get to compete against each other at our maximum capacity. And um, yeah, so it's the same concept. And I I think that that's something that I'm excited to see Majesty get to, where like whenever more women enter the space, women and non-binary players enter the space,
Mm-hmm.
then they start competing against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're able to build each other up as our own community, and we're able to compete against each other, but not in a toxic way.
Yes.
Um, and
Yes.
yeah, and I don't think it's toxic now, but like, but I think right now it's like more of like our our goal is to be just like recruiting and like letting people know that we exist. But once we get to a more stable place, this topic will come up, and I anticipate it
Mm-hmm.
because we will be playing against each other in bracket, and I want that. Like I want us to be playing against each other,
Mm-hmm. You want
and I
them
want
both
us.
to be in the finals, right? Like you're fighting each
Yes,
other. Come on.
exactly. And yeah, and like remembering that we are supporting and building each other up as we
Mhm.
both play our best.
Yes.
So
That's such a
yeah,
great mindset. Because it really then demonstrates again, like, here's how competition can be healthy. Um,
yeah,
Plenty of esports spaces have a good reputation of being a bit toxic or unhealthy. So I'm in the Florida area. I wish I could have like a
okay,
map of the
nice.
United States. What does the Florida like? Is Florida Smash give like a general thumbs up or a not so thumbs up?
Well,
Well, okay.
there's somebody from Florida that's big in the Smash community,
Uh-huh.
Hungrybox.
Mhm.
Um, but the tournament that was just hosted this last weekend was in Florida.
Oh,
So the Florida Smash scene, um,
that says a
the
lot. Thank you.
I don't know enough about it. The tournament that was hosted there, yeah, it was in Florida. But yeah.
But
So
this is a fair rating. Like there are plenty of places where like for tourists where you go to different travel, like I'll be honest, like Florida also does not have a great rating for tourists if you are LGBTQ, right? Because of
yeah,
some of the Florida policies. Like there's
sure.
a warning like, hey, if you come here, be very careful, right? It may not be
Yeah,
a safe space for you.
yeah.
I feel like that would also be really helpful for tournaments to be like, hey, as a heads up, the community here in this place is needs
You know, I
improvement.
I only like slightly challenge that because
Yeah.
I had this super weird experience where one, Texas being like
Mhm.
Texas Smash being as progressive and supportive as it
Yeah.
is like totally against the Texas policies. Um, and then,
Yeah.
but the weirdest experience I had with hosting one of the Majesty brackets was actually in Seattle, which I thought was like a little bit more progressive.
Yeah.
And I noted like working with the tournament organizers and after it was posted on Twitter was just the weirdest like interactions that I got. And I was
Ooh.
like, how is it like, come on, Seattle, like, come on,
Yeah.
like, let's get with it.
We expected better
Um,
from you. You should do better
exactly.
with this. But see
But
that
I
that
still
would be
think
good
it's a
to
good
know.
idea.
Yeah, like or forget
That's true.
whatever is happening in their state, right? Like what's the Smash community like in Florida? What's the Smash community like if I go up to New York, right? Like
Yeah.
what are these welcoming? Who are they safe
Yeah.
for? Like if you give me like a color coding system, that'd be real
That's
interesting.
true. That's a good idea. That was something I thought about was doing like a tournament, like scaling it,
Yeah.
doing a local based, regional based, and
Mhm.
major based like rating system,
Ooh.
and like having like a pre-populated like this is where the tournament is. These are like the restaurants nearby. These restaurants are safe. These restaurants are near, like
Mhm.
close. This hotel is like this one. It's like a
Mhm.
four-star hotel.
Mhm.
This is the tournament organizers, but then that opens a whole nother door of like, oh, but you're going to put me on blast for you. What do you mean I have to be held accountable for my actions?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's gonna ruffle feathers, and that's always the hardest part of like, are we ready for this?
I think honestly, it might be getting to the point where it's like, I don't even like, I can't even, I can't cradle anymore. It just
Yeah.
has to be, maybe I just gotta like, done. Like, it's not
Mhm.
my fault that your tournament is one star. Maybe you shouldn't have been a weirdo. Like, I don't, I don't know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But yeah,
but
I
but
don't know. It
but
was
this
something I
is
thought of, but
I mean the stars, I mean well, I like it. I think you made a good and a pointed argument there. Like, don't be a weirdo. But it comes down to that simplicity that these, even though the tournament directors or whoever's hosting it might push back, like at the end of the day, like it's not for them. It informs them and lets them know that there's room for improvement. But when you let
true.
out ratings like that, it's more for the competitors to decide, is this someplace that we want to be? You know?
That's true.
Who
It's
cares if they
honestly,
get mad? Like, that's not your target audience there. You're about making spaces safe for the competitors.
that's so true. Yeah. And that's a good mission statement to like go back to is it gets easy to get wrapped up and like Twitter haters, but like
Yeah.
but focusing back on like the community and like the goal of like who is this for, who is this meant to support,
Hmm.
um and not taking everybody's like whatever so seriously because everybody's going to have something to say and the majority is going to have something to say and I forget that I am not the majority in this community. um,
Mm,
but
yeah.
but yeah.
That will always be the addition to that. It would be such a different take if you were like, we're the largest tournament here. We are like, I'm covered. I've got a ton of followers already. People are gonna show up no matter what. People love what I'm throwing out. So if I do this,
Yeah.
you're gonna be safe. Like the ratio of the
Yeah.
comments is gonna be different. But when someone like us, right, we put something out, that ratio looks very different in our comment
Yeah,
section.
it does. um
Not to mention in person then too, where that follows up because it will.
uh yeah, it does. And that's so true. But I don't know. I don't know what we do. We do it anyway, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And hope
Um,
that there's enough of a community and allies who come
yeah,
to support, right?
absolutely.
If they say they are, let's see it show up, right? I guess
Yeah,
is the call next. All right, we did
yeah,
it. Back us.
yep, absolutely.
Hmm, that's hard.
Yeah,
I I like this though because at the end of the day, we're thinking it very. It's a balanced emotional feel, right? Like it's daunting to know that you're about to walk through fire because you are, and it will hurt. It's gonna suck. Those comments, no matter if we say like they're obviously like not coming from a kind place, to put it lightly, um, but they still hurt nonetheless,
yeah,
right? It doesn't matter if you have armor on, you're still gonna feel that rock being thrown at your head,
for sure.
you know.
Um,
But the optimism of what happens once you get through that battle. I mean, that's what we're kind of holding on to.
absolutely. Well said. It's yeah, it is. And I was just thinking about what I just said and how I made the comment like I'm not the uh majority in this community, but I do want to note that you did say earlier in this segment, you even though Majesty is focused mostly on marginalized genders, you brought up people of color that also can suffer from the same, and there's an overlap. And I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to note that I recognize that as not a person of color, there are privileges that I can have in this community and that I get. Um, it's just my gender is the part that becomes a minority. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't think that that's talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
And gaming in general. And that's something that I loved. I loved seeing at the Game Hers Awards
Yeah.
was different representation of people of color. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so just had to point that out. But
And I'm glad you did because none of these, even MZ pointed this out, right? All of us, we're not in competition with one another.
100%.
We're growing and we each have our area of focus because each area does need focus, but we all of us can't focus on everything to the same degree.
Yes.
So by giving us ourselves that opportunity that this group hyper focuses here, this group hyper focuses here, and then we support each other,
Yeah.
that's the beauty. That's how it should work. You know,
Yes.
we're not trying to compete against resources in or viewers. Instead, the idea is that we share it with each other, that we
Yes.
celebrate each other's wins, that we back each other's voices, and that we build this network and we allow each group to do their research, to do their actions, and we help follow because that's how we make quicker progress.
Yeah. I agree.
Mm.
It's yeah. But there's a lot of work to be done. It's inspiring to know that there is a lot of work to be done and motivating. But no, I mean, no buts. I mean, period.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah,
So I know in the Smash community, eventually you want it to see that anyone is competing at the highest levels to the lowest levels in competition, right? That we're actually seeing a fair balance and equal representation. Equal being like, of course, a proportion, right? Like
for sure.
representation of players or competitors in this space.
Yeah.
But are there other dreams, especially as you look towards 2024, of like this year, I want to speak it into existence. I want us to say this because I mean, we have this wonderful community here in chat. Um, we are here to support each other. Saying these out loud allows people to go, oh, I know how I can be a part of this. Oh, I know how I can support you, or I have someone I can connect you with. And that happens by first saying, here's what I want to do. So I want to open that door up for you to say for 2024, for you, for Majesty, it doesn't matter if it's a small little thing or a big wish. What do you hope for by the end when December starts closing in to say, I'm glad we got this done. I'm glad we made this progress.
That's crazy. Let me. I literally wrote this down.
You brought
Not
your
your
notes out. Look
your
at this.
question's not crazy, but I know I wrote this.
I love
I
it.
I I have them at the top of my brain, but let's just see what I wrote at the beginning of the year. Um, so I actually broke it down into short term and long term goals. So uh, it starts with as simple as just getting the Discord started, which we got. The Discord's up and running, and she's working, and we're going good. And the next is getting Low Tide City taken care of, getting Low Tide City funding, getting the merch out there, and whatever way we need to get our players supported there. and have nothing to worry about, period, as another. And then the last is Majesty hosted an event last year. We're going to rebrand it a little bit this year. Last year it was called Shatterpoint. And this year we're going to rebrand it. And what was that?
That's a good name. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Gonna rebrand it a little bit. And I have the intention of having, well, it's a little bit of a secret, but I'll let you in on it. So we're it's the plan is to have an all women non-binary staff. So yes, it'll be Majesty hosted, and all of the staff, and there's so many options to pick from: production, commentary, TOs. That'll be the staff. I think that this will be an excellent way to have players that are not in the space take us seriously, where they can watch us run a well-run, or they can attend a well-run event. That's a good experience, and yeah, so that's a goal. And I think another one that was in the works was actually, we kind of talked about it today, like some form of like an app for like a rating system for different tournaments and stuff. So when we get down, it's just support resources for Majesty, and then Majesty getting into more events. So those are the two biggest ones.
I love it. These are all actionable. I want to see all of these. I can't wait to be in the chats, supporting, screaming, buying shirts, merch, whatever we need to do to make this happen. I mean, because this is all really great and necessary in these spaces. And I love, right, this ambition that you have, because somebody needs to lead this charge. Do it. Yes. As Thrill said, buy all the merch, all caps.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it'll be a good year. 2024, it'll give. Yes. It's giving. Yes, for sure.
It is. And even if it doesn't give, we will take. That's our approach, right? We're
here. Yeah. For sure.
Listen, Cher, you are a dream to have on this. I'm excited to see where you continue to go. I'm excited to see where you're going to take Majesty in this end, the evolution that you're going through. Like you're clearly not in your final form, right, at this moment. And it's going to be so fucking badass when we see you continue to go stage after stage. We're never going to know what move you're going to bring out. And I love it. I hope that everybody here in chat really takes a page from your book, and following what you're doing, giving you the support. So where can people follow you, right? Like, we're all hyped about this. Drop all the socials, all the events, give us everything.
So first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity and the space to talk about all this stuff and share it. So let's see, Twitter. So Twitter, my Twitter is via_share. And then the Majesty Twitter is at Majesty Gaming with 2 G's, like GAMINGG. So yeah. And then Majesty also has a Twitch. It's Majesty_gaming. And then honestly, if you just go to our website, majestygaming.gg, it has everything. Everything you need, all packaged up. So
I love that. Let me just drop that link for the majestygaming.gg in chat for everyone. There you go, friends. Right. It's right there. Click it. This is peer pressure in the best form, right?
You should click it.
You should click it. You need to click it. Or at least copy it and save it for later, right? Bookmark it.
Just click it.
Listen, we're not giving options here. I love it. What's the next thing calendar-wise that we're looking at?
Next thing is Low Tide City. Be in the lookout, those in the local Austin community, for Rain, which was Majesty's temporary local. We're going to be getting it back up and running in about a month or so. So be on the lookout for Rain. That's the name of that series. Okay. And Low Tide City.
Here we go. Water slides indoor.
Absolutely. Indoor water slides.
That's what we're dreaming of. But
yes,
we want to get you all there. We want to support what you guys are creating. And of course, this amazing merch that you guys have drawn out. I want to thank you for coming in here, right? Because it takes a lot to want to continue to put your voice in this space. This is extra. Right? At the end of the day, you could just be like, I'm going to play my game. I'm going to do what I want to do and serve my purposes. But like the Zelda you are, you decided to make this a little harder. and do something that honestly benefits all of us. Even if we're not in the Smash community, the waves that you make there is something that we can learn for every gaming space that we have. It's something that can be replicated across the board. Our approach, our desire for respect and representation, that's something that is valued and needed in every space. So I keep going, keep fighting. I love it. Any final words for our audience as we wrap up? I hate that we're at the end of this, but we
No,
just want more of you.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate those that joined and supported. And Majesty has a lot more to offer, so I'm excited to share it. And yeah, and I appreciate the space and the platform for you and y'all to do what you've done. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, good friends, you heard it here. This is where we want to continue to support Majesty. This is where we have the launching point that if you come from the gamers community, make sure that you're following Majesty. If you're from Majesty and you're checking out the gamers for the first time, come on over. The idea is that we can support all good organizations. We want these networks to grow bigger, not siloed, right? This is our chance to make sure that we see all of the steps that we're taking and we can support all of them simultaneously. That's how we get better spaces. Future, thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Make sure you're following. Go over to, again, majestygaming.gg. You can see all their socials. Get following, buy their merch, and we'll see you all, friends, next week for another episode of Pink Pixels. Same time, same place. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.